Welcome, champions. My name is Dylan, and I'm coming to you live from the isolated streaming closet in beautiful, kind of rainy, kind of sunny, kind of mixed weather, Victoria, BC, Canada. Before we begin, I would like to thank Dungeons & Dragons for hosting us on the official D&D Twitch. It is and will always be an honor to be here. A shout out as well to our moderator and co-producer Sasha, as well as our executive producer Erica, because without them, I mean, this would be a train wreck every time. Every time a train wreck. I have a really cool guest with me, who's a cool guest. So I'm gonna switch to the guest view. Hi, guest.
Oh, I'm the cool guest?
Yes.
Oh, hey.
Yeah,
Hi.
it's Gar the guest. Welcome.
Gaarawarr.
Gaarawarr. Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
How are you this fine day?
Good. Was just hanging out doing some streaming with some people, and normally we raid this stream, but I told them I had to leave real early.
Yeah.
And then I ended up leaving real late, but we're here. Sorry.
Oh, it happens. It happens. Between summer, like, living in a touristy place that is usually much more touristy than this, but as the lockdown has lifted in the area, traffic is just ridiculous because there was so much road work and construction going on when everything was locked down that it's all still going. Yeah. And so everywhere is a nightmare to drive around. So
I mean, that was kind of like the best time to start trying to do all the road projects, but then
but
they take a while.
Well, the municipal governments that really had it together got on those road projects like within the first couple of weeks.
Right.
Whereas every year we do all of ours in the summer because that's when we get the least amount of rain. So they just kind of waited and started a little later, and took me way longer to get to the office than I was expecting to. Alas. But here we are talking about the weather. Now you probably have you already done your Ulcoria unlock?
Yes, yesterday.
Yeah?
Yesterday.
How was it?
Special stream. It was pretty straightforward, honestly.
Yeah.
It was not the super duper epic challenge that, say, Dragonbait was, but then again, Ulcoria is the first evergreen in Waterdeep, so if we ever get a second in Waterdeep, I would expect that one to be the super duper challenge.
Fair.
So I said it's more like kind of like Dritz and Azaka, where like maybe like right now you can get through it pretty straightforward, but it wasn't like the worst thing ever, because it wasn't the boss necessarily that was the challenge. It was just the randomness of what was going on the way to the boss. Yeah. And I feel like that's more manageable for most people.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a formation that is only partially obscured by you, that was mostly core champions and like didn't lean too heavily on event champions. And so it's a Farida DPS formation. Just because there's a lot of armored stuff. But Ashara's DPS is pretty close, so they just kind of blow everything up.
I did the unthinkable.
Delina.
I used Delina at DPS. we beat the whole thing with it. Yeah. That's what I was saying. She gets a lot of AoEs, so even with all of those armored folks, she was just for once, she was useful.
Yeah, I just wanted to. I got a kick out of seeing the mass magic missile and scorching ray bolts flying everywhere, hitting. Yeah. So, it's kind of. I just went this route this time, but yeah, I thought I seriously considered Delina, and I still didn't do it. I used her for something else recently though. I'm just trying to remember what it was. Something with lots of just spawning fast stuff, and you can just. Like 2 lightning bolts will clear a huge amount of the screen, and then like 2 ice storms, and it's like, okay, like you just kind of blow through everything.
As long as she has enough DPS, she can clear. She has lots of screen wide stuff that can just clear everything away. It's just a lot of times she falls off if you've got to go too deep.
Yeah. Not top tier, I guess, is what we could say.
No,
not a top tier champion. But I don't know. It's just like a buff or 2 away from being insane. So
probably, she now has more people that can support her because of her unique requirements. Because she wants to be all the way in the back.
Yeah,
and she wants everyone in front of her. And the problem with that is there are Tomb of Annihilation doesn't support her very well because there's 4 in the back row, so she would only ever have 6 in front of her. Sword Coast, you can use her. Waterdeep, potentially. So there's sometimes, and then there's some major event formations she works well in, but that's it.
I mean, a champion that is great under some circumstances, I feel like, is a decent bar to aim for. When they're an auto-include, like some malevolent turtles, it's harder to conceive of, why would I use this character? It's like, no, of course you do. But when they're not too niche, but they're not too overpowered, I don't know. It's kind of where I like to see them sit, if possible.
Yeah, I think some people just like to finish content as quickly as possible, so they'll use whatever's going to power through that without them having to think about it too much. I went in with what I figured from the beginning was somewhat of a subpar formation, but it ended up going the whole way, so it was enough. So there could have been some adjustments potentially, and
maybe we should have made it area 600.
Well, that's the patron versions are
that's
getting
true,
close
actually.
to that. So yeah.
Well, Ulcoria will be good for those.
We'll see.
Depending on what
we'll see,
like.
because usually the super deep. I mean, if it's we'll see, because usually the super deep stuff you want Tyrell as a tank, right? And Ulcoria is now in Tyrell's slot.
We moved her at the last second.
That
she
threw
got
me
moved
off
in
yesterday.
Rebalancing.
That threw me off yesterday because someone was like, "Hey, what do you think about Strahd's Veteran Brigade? Do you think she'll actually flesh out the team now? Because before you only got 7 people out of the 8 slots that you had." And I was like, "Oh yeah, she'll totally do that because we didn't have anybody in slot 5 and now we'll have a slot 5."
Yeah.
Oh wait, no,
Yeah.
she's slot 10, and that Tyrell's already in there, and Tyrell just overpowers her.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that happened during balancing passes.
Yeah.
They were balancing her for the first half of this week, and so the champion spotlight went out thinking one thing and got updated because in the last round of balances she got moved. It's I can't think of how many times that's happened. Not too many. Every once in a while. I can count it on one hand.
I don't know. Yeah. And I think it was one of the people were saying, I think it's one of the first times we've seen one get moved after we've seen the champion spotlight.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because usually there's for all those data miners out there, like they sit in slot 1 until they get to the point where they're like being fully implemented and balanced. And so every upcoming character is slot 1 to start. And then they move. Or they don't in a handful of cases, but most of the time
this
they
would
move.
Be now if you want to mess with people, then you create a slot 13 and put all new characters in that.
I mean, it's you know what?
Just for new characters.
I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna pass that along to the dev team right now. Because that's funny. Slot 13,
Probably should have told you that off stream. Now everybody's going to know what's coming.
That's all good. People are confused enough in chat, wondering why people are spamming "We love Dylan." So,
oh jeez, look what I've done. Look what you made me do. This is not. This is not okay.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because I didn't know what to expect, but I'm like, oh, area 400 doesn't seem too hard because what's the damage milestone for that? Like E120, E130, something like that?
It was in the E120s.
Yeah.
And I think Delana was doing, well over that.
Yeah.
Like E10 to E20, maybe even more over by the time we got there. It was not even I didn't even need to use ultimates to finish that off. So I did, but we could have just powered through it.
Well, sometimes it's just nice to cast the ultimate just to see it nuke a whole screen worth of stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, it helps that Delana has slowly been sitting there stealing my shinies and gearing up. So my Delana is, item level 1,000, because 2.5, almost 3 years of silver and gold chests going to her. Yeah. She's got the power.
Yeah.
When she needs it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, it's funny because when the rework happened and she was, overhauled, the design on paper looks like it would be really awesome. And we were all so happy with it. We tested it and like, oh, this seems good. And then it's like, it's still not as usable as we had hoped.
Well, again, the issue kind of comes from her placement, because at the time, after her rework, the big buffers were Calliope and then Shandy, and they all want to be behind whoever they're buffing.
Yep.
And Delana wants to be behind them. So until recently, we didn't have people that just buffed everywhere. So Ulcoria does that. She doesn't care. She'll just buff whoever, and Delana is fine with that. And Jim can do it. Can work with that. Dadius can work with that. Like, there's lots of options now, whereas there weren't back then.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, then you're using Jim and Dadius.
Well, some people have been running full magic formations with Jim lately. So
yeah, no. If you're actually rocking a magic DPS, he's pretty awesome. I haven't used a magic DPS as my main since like Strix with Barrow stacks.
Yeah, Strix was probably the last one that I used as my primary DPS all the time.
Yeah, I mostly just use Artemis and Trary formations because I like the puzzle of trying to make him good. Not that it's hugely difficult, but it's I don't know. If the slots permit, it's nice to be like, all right, I'm going to put Catti here, and I'm going to put Artemis here, and I'm going to buff her in these ways, and he's going to steal him in this way. And every once in a while, you're like, you know what? I'm going to make him a tank because he could steal a shield buff. So
Tankamus. Yeah. You can't go super deep with it, but it does work for knocking out variants.
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
People yesterday were like, "Oh, you should just use Archon because you've got him. Why not use him instead of Delana?" And I'm all like, "Well, if Delana stops working, then we'll try an Archon formation." But Delana never stopped working.
Yeah. I was looking at Archon, trying to think of one. I was going to, I don't know. I always try to make my second party be characters that I never use. I don't know why Bruner's over there right now, but
bugs.
Yeah. Like, I didn't leave that way, but
it's that slot one. It's that slot one. Just doesn't want to ever stop bugging out.
Yeah. See, somebody's asking if it's possible to upgrade Ulcoria's Defender of Waterdeep to let her work in Vajra patron adventures in the Waterdeep campaign, since it seems odd that they are allies in lore but incompatible in game. I can pass that along. I don't know that that's something that we will do, but I can at least pass that to the dev team for review. I mean, let's be honest, like, not everything in the game makes sense. But that is a fair point. I mean, it's even mentioned it's called out in the TRPG book and in her bio that, like, is a longtime ally of Waterdeep who is sometimes called upon to help.
Well, but there's a difference between sometimes being called upon and always being available for Vajra's patron missions.
Yeah. It's not an unreasonable ask. I'll pass it along. Alpha Crawl, will there ever be a champion slot shuffle? After so many champions are added, there will be some unoptimal placement that will need to be fixed. Well,
does it though?
Yeah, I mean, we want people to have to make choices that aren't always good. Like it's got to be difficult sometimes. You have to question, like, which character do you want in a slot? If it's obvious in every single slot who you're supposed to pick, then we're doing something wrong. That being said, there have been at times discussions talking about concepts around just like shaking up the champions and bench slot sort of system, but nothing that we liked enough to commit to any kind of design or to do anything around. Because it would blow balance wide open. Like, it would just nuke it instantly, and we're not sure we want to do that. So,
yeah, and the multi-party lets you use some of those other people that are still strong, that are in the same slot as someone that's super strong, like say Krond and Krull. You can have Krull in a formation and be doing all kinds of great things, and you can have the other one in another formation doing all kinds of great things. And now one isn't getting wasted anymore. We
can add another split the party style variant that's even worse, where you can get a clone core that allows you to pick one champion that you can have unlocked despite their slots. Just make it nightmarishly difficult to get.
We've theory crafted that before, and we were like, what you need is a doppelganger champion.
Yeah.
And that doppelganger champion then can copy any champion on the bench that isn't already in your party or something, and then
Yeah.
You can run somebody that's in the same slot.
Yeah.
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 It would be interesting.
That that doesn't sound balanced, but
No, but it's only one champion
that's
though.
how
It's
you
not
end up
you're
with
not
two
blowing
Krulls.
everything up.
Can you imagine what would
Well,
happen
no.
with two Krulls?
You can't. That's the thing. You can't copy somebody that's already in your formation.
I guess. Yeah.
Just someone that isn't there. So
Only someone that isn't there.
Yeah. So you can have a Krond with a Krull.
Yeah. I do remember when Krull came out, people were like, but I wanted him to go with Krond. And I'm like, me too.
I mean, that was me with Omen and Binwin. You put them in the same slot, and now I can't run the old school Ak Inc formation.
This is true.
I mean, it's not modern. It's not a modern formation, but it is the old school formation.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Although, I mean, there are a few other old school Ak Inkers that aren't in the game as well.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Aophel.
Yeah, yeah.
Although Aophel might be. Is he what's inside the gelatinous cube? I don't know.
I suppose it's plausible. Somebody in chat asking, hello, I'm a newbie with less than 10 hours of game time. I'm wondering, can we use locked chests as much as we want? By that I mean as long as we have codes. Yeah. Fill your boots.
All the codes.
There are codes stored in a number of places, and yeah, get them while they're hot. I highly recommend the 20 and 20 hidden combinations list, as well as the whatever you can find that's over the last couple of weeks that's currently active from the various shows and podcasts and so on. Yeah, there's a lot. There's actually 2 hidden ones for today's show.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
People are trying them.
Yeah. One of them one of them has already been called out, but the other one. The other one, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I didn't see that someone got one. I haven't entered in.
Oh, they didn't find it. Ones. I mean, it has already been said or shown on screen.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Somebody will find it. There you go. Yeah. I need to look up what the second one was because I've already forgotten. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I remember. I might have actually.
Hey, I got a large blacksmithing contract.
I might have actually said that one too.
Oh, hey, all right. So you've said them both already.
Possibly, yeah.
There you go, folks.
Yeah, they're not that. See, I think that they're not difficult, but sometimes they really are.
Well, but you get the context behind them, and then everybody else just has to
figure it out.
Attempt to figure it out. So.
When I was in here for Bardic Inspiration on Tuesday, 3 boxes about yay big showed up from FedEx. Are you curious at all what was in them?
I'm kind of hoping. Well, no, is it even out yet? I was trying to think like Beetle and Grimm's warehouse. Like, is there stuff out yet?
Oh no,
but no.
So
maybe
that will like print stuff is pretty delayed right now. I would
okay.
Like my gut says, the new book will arrive on time on D&D Beyond because it's digital,
right.
It's all implemented.
Right.
But the print will probably have a couple week delay, would be my guess. And Beetle and Grimm will be a little bit behind that. But
so other than that, I know there was cool WizKids stuff. There we go. See, so it's the Shardolin. See, I know my stuff.
Yeah,
I remember that screen. He's a chunky boy.
This is the thickest dragon that's been released as a mini.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it looks great. I'll put some photos on social later. They also sent us. I mean, that was one box of 3. Like that thing comes in a rather large box.
Yeah, you don't want that one getting messed up.
Great big bag of WizKids stuff here, and we're gonna set up some giveaways for this. Not during this stream. But probably for next week's stream because I have some cool stuff. So I have an Icons of the Realms Pulachronos World Eater Hydra. I don't know how much. There's so much glare. I don't know if you can see it.
There's a little glare. Plus, it's all wrapped in plastic.
Yeah.
I think if you just turn it to the side so we can see the actual drawn image.
Yeah, that's actually
easier. Yeah,
that's what it looks like.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. It's a crazy mythic Theros creature, as well as a brick of Theros minis.
Man,
I haven't actually looked at the set at all, so I don't know what's in it. But there's Like they have one of Brimaz, King of Ereskos. I don't know if you ever played Magic the Gathering.
Uh, yes, but in the 90s.
Okay, well, he's a little more recent than that.
So,
but anyways,
not so much the recent stuff.
Yeah, there's some really cool looking minis on the side of this. I'm curious. I'll probably crack a few and then send the rest out. And this one we will be giving away 2 weeks from now on stream. They're Icons of the Realms Eberron pre-painted plastic minis.
Ooh, pre-painted.
I'm gonna crack one of them, and I'm crossing my fingers I get a Lord of Blades. Or any of the really badass Warforged automaton ones, because there's so many cool ones. But yeah, giving away some Eberron minis. And I got another one that's harder for me to pull out. Actually, I have several others, but hold on. It's funny, the boxes were like, 2 of the boxes each included just one thing, with like a crazy amount of packing.
I mean, you got to keep it safe.
Yeah. And then the last one was filled with just tons of stuff, like little mini packs and stuff. Like every crevice was just full of things.
Yeah, but that's fine because each of those little mini packs are usually pretty well packaged themselves. It's just those bigger ones that you got to make sure they're protected.
Yeah. They double as bubble wrap.
Yeah.
We got. I don't know if we're going to give these away or not. We're not sure.
Because they're just too cool.
the new Curse of Strahd ones.
Oh.
So they're Covens and Covenants, and then Legends of Barovia.
A revamped Curse of Strahd? Yes. I love that the little pun. Revamped.
Oh god, I didn't even consider that. But yeah, like this one's got a Babala Saga and a Van Richten and an Esmeralda and a Piddlewick and Strahd and Madame Eva. And then the other one is like culty characters, like witch. There's like a bunch of different witches and hags.
Nice.
And what is that? I don't even know what that last one is. Some undead. They're pretty neat. But yeah, the sets look really good. The pre-painted sets are just getting better and better. Like the Strahd looks fantastic. He looks like this key art.
Nice. Yeah, as opposed to back in the day when it would look like somebody just took a heavy brush and threw some color on something.
Yeah. We have an event.
That would be how I'd paint them.
Yeah. And then, that one box I'm going to show off in a few weeks. But this one.
Oh, no. That's the huge one, yeah. With the wings.
Yeah.
Man.
Adult white dragon.
Yeah.
It is
not even ancient. So when they make an ancient, imagine how big it has to be and how big that shipping box is going to be.
Yeah, well, the Chardolin or whatever, that box was bigger than the ancient white dragon box.
Yeah.
The adult white dragon box.
Yeah.
But mostly because of how chunky it is. It's because like the base is extra wide to support how heavy it is.
Yeah.
Because it's got a little white ring on the bottom. Like that's the base size in terms of using it on a sheet, like on a battle map or something.
That's still this. I think you'd still want to use the other one. Just use the outer ring.
Yeah. Because its stat sheet, I assume, is technically not gargantuan, which would be the outer ring. So it must be the one before it.
I think that's where just as the
huge or whatever.
As the DM, you just go, no, it's the outer ring. Because who really wants to get that close?
Yeah. It has also like the best paint job I've ever seen on any of these. Like it looks.
I've seen a lot of pictures.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Like I follow their community manager, and I've seen the pictures they've posted, and it just looks amazing. I like just looking at the art. I don't own any of them, but I drool over all of them.
Yeah. I wouldn't describe myself as somebody who collects minis. Like all my minis are on my desk.
Yeah.
And I've got a few, but some of these just look so rad. I just want them. Plus, I all my D&D these days is played virtually, so I don't.
Yeah.
know when the next time I'm going to be using minis in person is going to be for a game.
I think it's one of those things where you're like, if you see something you really, really, really like that's a mini, absolutely snap it up and get it and then put it on a shelf. I've done that, but I don't just buy all the things anymore. That's
Well, that's the responsible way to approach it, is to not buy
I
it.
know. I'm just responsible. It's horrible. It's a curse.
Yeah, it's an affliction. It can be cured with a little bit of like 10%, 50% discounts on things that you like. Just throw it out there, and you're like, oh, I could get a few of these.
Or by winning in the lottery. Yeah, either way. I'd prefer one over the other.
Yeah. Alrighty. Benjamin. So who does the rework of old champions? Is it Dylan, or does Justin handle reshaping old champions like Dylan?
Thank you.
So the champion balancing is overseen by Justin, like full stop. That being said, if you throw good ideas at him and he likes them, he will use them. Which is to say, a lot of Delana's rework is my fault. The having her at the back of the formation.
Now we know.
And rotating through her abilities and being able to copy them and stuff. Yeah, that was my fault. A few others that are
for her. It just didn't work out as well as people would have liked.
Yeah. I think if there were more support options, she'd probably be great, but it just didn't work out. But a few other ideas that are my fault. Githzerai Focus is my fault. Although when I pitched it, it also had an item that increased its power.
Oh, yeah, that would have been real.
Justin's like,
real
no.
Broken.
Yeah, well, we did one weekend where we buffed it by like 300% or 400% or something.
And that was real broken.
and it was. I think you meant to say it was awesome. Especially since it affected champions like Krull, who's a cleric, technically. Yeah. But no, the bulk of it he does because he handles all of it. The spreadsheet that he uses to, at this point, balance 67 champions at once and to like add soft level cap increases and stuff is scary looking. Yeah. And you know, Chris is our live services manager, also handles champion design because he handles all the design of all the monsters, adventures, and champions and how it all fits together. Just at all. But once he comes up with the design, he takes it to Justin and then they work through it.
Yeah, this was a question that came up yesterday while I was streaming, and I was like, you should ask on the Idle Champions dev stream tomorrow. I didn't tell anyone I was going to be here, but
yeah.
I was like, go ask there.
Every once in a while, I get lucky and I get the opportunity to help work on a champion. The next one coming after Ulcoria as part of Bright Swords is one that I got to help work on. And
the Goblin Artificer.
Yeah.
Yes.
I pitched an idea and they're like, okay, run with it. I'm like, okay. And then I passed it back and they're like, cool. Now we need to make it balanced.
Now we need to make it so that everybody doesn't hate us.
Yeah. So we'll see. Somebody was asking if we ever saw the Ancient Red Dragon mini that came out about 15 years ago. I can't recall. There's probably a couple thousand minis in this office because our CEO Eric, his collection of minis is here, and there are shelves full of giant dragons on them. So there's a chance that one of them is actually on the other side of this wall here.
Probably.
But off the top of my head, I can't think of a time that I saw one. No. Oh, I love this fight.
Yeah. That's the final boss. You're just about halfway there, though.
Yeah. What I would like to see would be when it grabs the Illithid and pulls it in, just an explosive geyser of gore as it dies. But we didn't do that.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Game
ratings.
Yeah, game
ratings. And the ability to even have games in certain countries.
More likely particle effects, given the graphic size of the Neothelid. Alrighty. Hi Dylan, I'm curious why Naeli, Jarlaxle, Tyrell, and Archon are allowed for the Gargoyle variant. Is there a D&D lore reason, or is it just in game design decisions to fill in extra slots? So the way this variant was set to function changed a few times in development. Originally, it was only non-magic based champions, and then we switched that around. And then in switching that around, realized that we needed a few more in order for players to realistically be able to fill up the formation, which
Just
is why
to be
it's
able to tank.
yeah, which is why it's magic based champions plus friends.
Yeah, there are no magic based tanks currently.
Yeah,
we are all crossing our fingers for some, but
I should double check. I might be able to confirm right now whether or not the one coming in a couple weeks is one. Give me a second.
We were talking yesterday about potentially. I mean, if you have a goblin artificer and they're wearing like a suit of armor,
well, they are a tank. I just
couldn't they have magic based attacks? I mean,
I'm gonna double check before I say something that gets me in trouble. Gets me in more trouble.
More trouble, yeah.
Because I think it's magic based.
Maybe.
They were the idea for them came from a lot of feedback we've had. Like we've had people asking us, like, "Hey, how come none of your tanks have tower shields?
Yeah.
How come you don't have any goblins? When are you going to do an artificer? When are you going to do your next character from?"
Hey, all in one.
You need more evil characters, and do you have any magic based tanks? And let me check. I don't know if it's magic. They're because they have more than one basic attack thing they can do.
Oh. Okay. Well, but as long as it defaults as something that's available.
They have a grappling fist so they can grab enemies and pull them to the front of the formation.
Get over here. Did they say that? We need to get over. Oh, wait. We don't have audio in the game.
Yeah, we're not allowed. And they also, being an armor artificer, have thunder gauntlets where they punch and it's thunderous. So I think their attack is probably magical.
Or it might list it as both, which would then qualify.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But yeah. It was really, really fun to put that together, and we'll see how it goes. Also, wait, no, I can't say that yet. Wait for spoilers next week. Yeah.
It is odd to have 2 content weeks in a row.
Well,
normally it's like, oh, next week's the event, and everybody's like,
the content update week next week is not an event, actually.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It is weird.
Yeah.
We get 2 content and 2 time gates in a row.
Yeah. Well, part of that is because we were so consistent on our schedule that we were starting to get our events further and further off the dates where roughly they were supposed to be. So,
I was like, they need a leap year event. Yeah. Like once every 3 years, they get one. That
Chris Perkins' birthday event. He was born on a leap year. Somebody asking when will Gets Their Eye Focus get boosted again. If Justin has anything to say about it, probably never.
Yeah.
Although he is warm to the idea of making it like adding an item to it. I don't know.
Ooh.
That is.
I could see like a feat.
Yeah, like, well, not only like boosting, never mind boosting that ability and how bonkers that is, just as is. He affects so many characters. Like, So do we want to make him into an actual DPS and support champion? I don't know. I think it'd be cool.
I mean, the problem with him right now is that while I have used him as DPS on a couple occasions on like my gearless account, I've never really used him on my main account as DPS ever. I've only ever put him in because of Gets the Right Focus, in which case all of his gear is pointless and all of his feats are pointless. It's just like
that's the problem with it that we see, that we're like, if we do anything, we want to rectify that aspect of it. But an item that can increase Gets the Right Focus by any significant percentage is, as bonkers as adding another Tortle Death Domain cleric. So
well, that's why I said like a feats. Feats make sense.
Yeah.
And then make him, useful outside of that.
Yeah.
Who are we talking about? We're talking about Narak.
Yeah.
Our Gith boy.
Yeah. So he asked what slot the new Artificer is in, but we can't. Yeah.
Well, as we were saying earlier,
they are currently in slot one. Yeah. They're currently in slot 1.
Like every one before they get placed somewhere.
Yeah. And they're also evil aligned as well, because, more evil.
All right.
So yeah, pretty excited about that. Plus, their design aesthetic is just nothing like any of the other characters, which is, I think, my favorite thing about it. Every time we get to do something new is really exciting.
Yeah.
Like I very distinctly remember the day that we first implemented the zombie Tyrannosaurus boss, because it was the first time we put in a multi hit point boss fight and it's just like puking out zombies and like
Yeah.
we had
That was
artists.
so cool.
We had
Yeah.
artists on our art team fight over who got to be the one to draw it, and like eventually Alexis won, and so she drew it, and then after it was implemented, and it was implemented in a level that has weather effects, which we hadn't used very much at that point. And like the whole company kind of like crowded over, I think it was Mark's or Peter's desk to like watch the first time when it's like on dev and it's working and he's puking out zombies, and we're just like, yeah, this is great. And like some of the other bosses I really like a lot, but I don't know. It's a T-Rex and it pukes zombies. It's pretty.
Yeah,
it's pretty.
It's
great.
still one of the best, because they're just like constantly, because it's just been running around eating people, and now it's spitting them back up, and they're coming after you.
If I ever run a Tomb of Annihilation adventure for friends, I'm definitely going to utilize the zombie T-Rex.
Yeah,
and I'm a little sad that my buddy who DM'd that for us didn't use it. Although the one time we could have seen a T-Rex, we ran. So maybe that's on us.
I mean, if you're doing a Tomb of Annihilation campaign and you don't have a T-Rex that's spitting up zombies, like, are you really DMing, bro? Come on.
Well, there's the dinosaur that he ended up using was there's like that like weird sort of T-Rex god, the feathered one that can teleport.
Oh yeah.
He used that, and it was terrifying. As our party literally scatters and just runs in different directions trying to get away, and managed to hide. But yeah, that thing was just even it's a massive creature just running down the street and then like poof and then reappears somewhere else. We're like, oh no, we need to leave immediately. Yeah, that was good. Let's see. Do you think slot 13 and higher would ever be a thing? I would say that it's not beyond the realm of possibility. We don't have any characters in this calendar year planned for any slots outside of the regular 12 slots, which is as close to an answer / non-answer I can give you on that one. But
you never know.
It could be fun. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we've wrestled with, and I think I've probably discussed this before, is when you have some of the characters from novels and lore, their power is barely quantifiable. And like, how do you represent that with a champion in game? Like, in the case of Dritz, we have like a Dritz from a while back who is not yet his, level 20
self.
monster killing machine, who is now being the protagonist of like $30 or something. And so we kind of we pick a snapshot. Like Artemis Entreri is very specifically one of the earlier incarnations. Like we based his description off of his initial description in Crystal Shard, which is like a couple sentences near the very end of the book, because like Regis spots him in a market and is like turns around and like nope, he just like nopes right out of there.
Nope.
And so we kind of picked that for all of them. But like when it comes to a character like Elminster or Mordenkainen, I think there's an expectation there that they are their godly selves, or at least their extraordinarily powerful selves. And how do you represent that in a game like this? We haven't yet come up with a way that we like to do that. We've talked about things like slot 13. We've talked about things like, maybe you put them in the formation and they lock out slots that you can't use with them or something. There's a lot of different ways that we've considered approaching it. But none that we felt was compelling enough to tackle. And, and then what, like, maybe you did hypothetically release a slot 13 Elminster of Shadowdale. And he locks out, I don't know, slot 1 and 2, let's say. He would have to be so ridiculously powerful to justify that. And if he is so powerful that he easily justifies that, why would you ever use a slot 1 or 2 champion ever again?
I think the idea we had a long time ago when we were first spitballing this was you have Elminster in the formation, and then you have his floating pipe in another slot. Like, so he takes up multiple slots, but one is just his constantly floating pipe.
Three randomly assigned slots are his luggage, just like on
where it lands,
floating discs, just stuff of his.
Yeah, so depending on where you leave a gap in your formation, it could do different things.
Yeah.
But nobody wants balanced Elminster, because balanced Elminster would be Elminster or what did he call herself when he was a female as a young, and he was a rogue?
I'd have to look that up.
Like, people would be disappointed with young female Elminster.
Yeah.
As a rogue.
Yeah. I mean, I would
that's
be
the only
disappointed
balanced.
in that.
I would like it, but it would not be bad. It would not. That would be the only balanced Elminster.
It would be a fun deep cut for the lore nerds who are like, oh my god, is that? Oh, that's how
Elmara.
They put him in. What the hell?
Isn't it Elmara, chat? Isn't that it?
Somebody probably knows. Yeah. Apparently, this raffle is Evil Champ. So.
Evil Champ, yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the raffle, Nubby Buck.
Yeah, that's a difficult expectation to meet. And I remember one of the reasons we took as long as we did to bring Artemis and Trary to the game was because we knew there would be very high expectations. Because we only did one poll for like way back about which characters would you like to see, and like overwhelmingly Elminster won it, and we're like, well, we can't use him, like for the aforementioned reasons. And then Artemis was easily second place, and like there was something like 2/3, a little over, more than half the voting was Elminster, and then like another third of it was Artemis, and then it was like just kind of like petered off from there. So, I know Chris worked really hard on Artemis' design and spent a lot of time on it, and like fretted about it for, quite frankly, for a long time, trying to make sure that we could make a character that fit in well. Based on just the way the game plays, but also the history with the Companions of the Hall, and his significance in the books. And I guess now he's an anti-hero, part shade, character these days. I haven't well, he took his, spoiler alert, he took his vampiric dagger and jammed it into a shade. Yeah. And now he's part shade. So yeah, which we did with the skin for him.
Yes.
But yeah, it's there are certainly high expectations on some characters, never more so than we work with, like when we worked with Jerry for Omen. Like, we wanted to make sure that we made an Omen that Jerry was happy with, that players were happy with, that we were happy with, and luckily, he seemed very happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, he's got contracts, so right there, that's like pillar number one of Omen. Contracts. 2, he hits things. Yeah,
he bonks things, and
but no healing. That's pillar number 3. No healing.
Although I think one of the best compliments we got from anybody we worked with was when he was complimenting us on how, like, we didn't just know we knew his character to a scary degree.
Yeah,
he said, which is like, yay, like
we're stalkers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but
he's been around a long time. You should know.
Yeah. Omen Drawn has been in the I don't know, been a part of D&D pop culture, maybe is the best way to describe it, for like 13, 14 years.
Yeah.
AI is,
and he has his own book.
Has been around a while. Yeah, they had their book come out last year. I remember because the print preview copies were sitting in their empty booth setup at the Descent before they arrived to set up their booth, and so I actually got to pick one up and look through it before the Penny Arcade folks, because I'm like, it's just sitting here. We're all under NDA. We're not leaving this space.
Yeah, that's one of the few D&D books I have right back there behind me on my shelf. The Ack Inc. one.
Yeah, it's fun. They put so much work into it. Shout out to I think Alyssa probably spearheaded that project, and then
I think she spearheads all the projects. Yeah,
this is true. Alyssa does kind of spearhead all the projects.
She's amazing.
Yeah, if any of you ever get the opportunity to meet Alyssa at a PAX event, should there be one in person again, tell her she's awesome and that she works too hard, because she's just like fast moving everywhere, doing everything. She's awesome.
Let's see. Why don't Krond and Beetle count as magic users for Jim and Ulcoria? Krond doesn't, because he hits things with a weapon and then casts a cantrip.
Yeah, that
Beetle's a good
has
question
been discussed.
Beetle and Grim should.
Beetle's a bug. That is going to be fixed. I don't know if it'll be fixed today, but I know that it's the devs are aware of it. It's on the list. And it's also not a difficult fix, so I would anticipate that one being quick. Beetle is a bug. Yes, beetles are bugs.
Beetle.
Some of them ball up their excrement and push it
Oh,
around.
wait.
But Beetle of Beetle and Grim, yeah, his attack is supposed to count as magical. I think. I'm pretty sure.
Gromma's specs is different because when it checks the validity of whether that person is a magic user or not, it does so at level 1. And Gromma doesn't become a magic user until she picks her specialization and chooses DPS, which doesn't happen much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of an oops. I think we probably just assumed that the Beetle thing was set up properly, and then we're like, oh, this isn't working. But the other thing is that because the two of them, like all the positive benefits of their being allowed in formations is supposed to apply to both. Mm-hmm. There's a few instances where that doesn't quite work.
Yeah.
So, still.
I mean, it's the first time we've ever had anything like that in the game. So
yeah,
it's going to take a while to get sorted out. And then once you get it perfected, we can bring in more multi-champions. Yay.
Oh yeah, tag team champions all the way. I want some 80s wrestling team tag team champions. That'd be great.
Well, I mean, I keep saying I think I put up my all dwarf formation wish list, and that's got to have Fist and Fury, which are the Tanabritches sisters, which are married to King Brunor, and then the Boulder Shoulder brothers, Ivan and Pikel. They could be a tag team champion. One's the fighter, and one's a doodad, a druid. So those are perfect options for tag teams because they would be like all about swapping places and then fighting.
Oh man.
Lots of places to go with that.
Yeah. Alrighty, I got a backlog of a couple questions I didn't look at. What if you made the higher power champions like Elminster cost gems to use? Not a lot, but enough to make people step back. I mean, we are in gems at pretty fast rates these days. So what's a high amount of gems? Like, like I have my second formation basically only ever gem farms all the time, forever. And today I'm like, oh, I need to buy some feats because some of the characters in this current formation that I don't really use that often didn't have them. I'm just like, just buying all their expensive feats, not even thinking about it. I'm like, God, gems, lots of gems.
You'd have to have a whole other currency for that.
Yeah, you would need something else. But that might be the right track. Like there's something that you can only earn at a fixed rate, so that using it up to use a character like Elminster is actually a significant cost.
I mean, we have something like that, Dylan. It's called patrons.
We have patrons. I was thinking that they would use up your time gate pieces.
No, people get salty about using time gate pieces for anything other than than spending them on a time gate.
I know. But wouldn't it be great?
But I mean, you could have patron Elminster, and then one of the things you could occasionally buy from him is him in your party.
Yeah. Oh, so it's patron currency.
Yeah. You're literally spending your patron favor on via currency.
Yeah, favors for favors.
Come join you.
Yeah. I like that idea. I don't know if our next patron is not going to be Elminster. Yeah. Our next patron is a little more antagonistic.
I don't know if the next patron is the one that was already spoiled, but we did hear that we are getting Zariel at the end of the Descent into Avernus campaign.
That's a good point.
But I do not know that that's the next patron. But it is a patron.
So maybe I'm just going to change the subject. So could the next question's about patrons? Damn it!
It's almost like I read the chat.
Could the patron variants for champion unlock have skins for that champion?
That's a lot of skins, though.
Yeah. Skins are they have about the same amount of artistic time investment as making a champion from scratch.
Yeah,
almost just because of the way we built the game. Some of it's a little bit faster, but for the most part, you draw and animate at almost the same pace. So that's a big maybe. That being said, we're pretty happy with our skins lately. I'm a huge fan of the Blood War ones. They turned out awesome.
Yeah.
And
super nice.
They're still iterating on the work in progress for the ones that Max Dunbar did recently. The Companions of the Hall versions heading north. I know I shared a work in progress of the Wolfgar one during the Summer Spectacular, but that one has actually changed quite a bit since then. Because
That's how it works.
well, in that one, he's got like an owlbear pelt on, which he still does, but that one it had like really sad eyes, like it looked depressed if you look close
Yeah,
at it. Like it was like
it did. I mean, and I think my comment during that was, well, you'd be sad too if someone wore your skin around as a cloak.
Yeah. So that has been changed. But then like the weapons are being updated to be different, and some other stuff like taking Max's first pass and then iterating on it with him. So it's like a back and forth between our artists and Max to get that done and then finalized. Pretty excited about it. I don't have an ETA on it though. My guess, I mean, and this is just as like from one person who works in the field of public relations marketing to others, I imagine we will probably time it roughly to when Icewind Dale Rime of the Frost Maiden comes to Idle Champions.
Yeah. And missing that target would be winter for winter skins.
Yeah. Winter for winter skins. We got a really good window here over the next 4 months where it would be appropriate to release them.
I mean, we got hellish skins while we're in hell during a pandemic, so it only makes sense, right?
Yeah. And then of course, there's retirement sales and then a new round of DLC and stuff on the horizon. I would spoil one of the DLCs or something, but I actually honestly haven't looked at the list. I don't know what's coming next yet. I will probably
keep forgetting soon. I keep forgetting what's on sale right now, but the Red Dragon Disciple Deacon skin is on sale for $5, and it's so tempting. Yeah. And it comes with a shiny.
Let's see. I got a Modron pipe question. I have
Here we
3
go.
level 4 Goldfind nodes, each one at 480, but the buff listed is much higher. How do the nodes apply to each other? That is a good question.
They're supposed to multiply.
Yeah, supposedly. I thought they were doing it additively, though.
The tooltip showed up as additively, but everybody thought that was a bug because it was supposed to be multiplicative. That was my understanding, but I have not been tracking that closely. So I'm trying to look at mine right now because I have 2 gold finds on mine. Yeah, it looks like it's multiplying now. So It looks like it's fixed.
This is embarrassing. There's a whole node I forgot to look at here. I didn't notice until now. I'll deal with that later.
We had an in-depth discussion about the in the first core. I don't have the strong core yet, so we were talking about the base core you get for free. About the level 11 champs cost less to upgrade node, and how do you really need that by the time you get your core to level 11? Like, aren't you pretty far along? Like, shouldn't that be the level 1 instead of the gold upgrade? Like, yeah, we were having that discussion yesterday.
Yeah, I know that part of Justin's intent with that system was to just create some unique options for each of the cores that don't show up anywhere else. So it's an experiment still. Yeah, it's very much a work in progress.
I mean, there's definitely neat stuff. And I think people have already tossed out ideas they'd like to see. Like, they'd love to see something that's like a speed core that has some speed options, especially for like speeding up offline progress.
God. I
there could be all kinds of things.
But I certainly understand why somebody would want it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But you could have a variety of different nice niche cores ultimately once you have a couple base ones that do all the generic stuff you need.
Let's see, somebody asking, I missed this a little while back, do we have an ETA on War Druid Gromma coming to Steam? We don't have an exact date yet. My guess would be 6 months after it came out on Xbox would probably be about right, somewhere in the 3 to 6 month range.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds right for contractual obligations with platforms.
Yeah. It will come. Is the one thing I can say for sure. But I don't have a date.
I like this core suggestion. What about a core that puts large googly eyes on enemies, depending on the flow going into it?
Oh, that would be so wonderful. I don't know that we have a system that could do that, just because of the way everything's built. But
it'd be so funny.
That would make me really happy, and I would definitely use it.
All the googly eyes everywhere.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a note and pass that one along too. Googly eye, googly core.
Yeah, the googly core.
Yeah, it's got one note in the middle, and you have to go around to. Yeah. Somebody asking if we only have 2 emotes to buy. Yeah, we haven't. So we have a list of other ones that are in development. There's a whole bunch of the TLDR is it's summer and we have artists taking time off, so we just haven't gotten to making more yet. That's the best way I can describe it. So there will eventually be more emotes, but right now we have fewer artists than we like to have usually working, and they're very busy. Yeah. Let's see. Is it smart to put speed champions in the second party using offline speed, or are they not helping to increase the speed while offline? Yes. Some abilities don't work in the offline mode. I know that's on the list, but I don't have I don't have the list of which ones work and which ones don't. So at this point, were it me, I would simply not use speed champions in my other formation. I just use them in my main one when I use them.
Speaking of, since it's still technically in beta, how does the dev team feel about like progress towards that finally being a finished, like both multi-party and Modron?
Oh, that's a good
finished
question
feature.
That's a good question for Dave. I know that they're basically like so deep in the trenches of fixing bugs and smoothing out features across all platforms. I don't think it's come out on Nintendo yet.
I don't think so. I don't know.
Yeah.
Last I saw, somebody was asking about it. I haven't seen anything about it since.
Yeah, because the one major downside to working remote is that when we were in the office and there's a dev meeting, at least one person from marketing would be in it to be in the loop. But when we work remotely, that's not the case. So I'm so much more out of the loop than I used to be. I know that one of the things that they did recently was they rebuilt the skeletal system for the game, which changed the memory footprint of that specific system to like just a fraction of what it was before.
That was the animation memory thing that went into the
and it is noticeable. But like even when I walked into the studio today, because there were 2 developers here working, I got my face mask when I'm not in the streaming room, when I'm moving around, because yay, world we live in. They were talking about some other performance enhancing stuff, but yeah, they're on it. It's literally the only thing they're working on. They're not building new features right now. So,
nice.
Yeah. Which is, good. I want it to smooth out more. It's a big feature. God, it's so much bigger than it was initially planned.
Yeah. Imagine the fact that you're basically doubling everything you're doing in the game and then automating large parts of it. That's big.
Yeah. And then there's a puzzle-based mini game to make it faster and more efficient.
I don't know that anybody was expecting that at all.
Neither were
I
we.
wasn't. Yeah.
No.
So
yeah.
Once I got in, I remember getting into the closed beta and going, "Wait, there's a whole other thing we have to test." I thought we were just doing automation and multi-party, and then hey, look, it's a whole other progression system.
Yeah. Although, like at first, I was just overwhelmed by the scale of it. I was like, "My God, like what is this?" But after playing with it for a while, I find those kinds of puzzles, like efficiency-based little puzzle to just iterate on, surprisingly relaxing to dive into every once in a while. I'm just waiting for the like clear all button and they've talked about doing like undo back and forth stuff for it, but I don't know if that'll happen because that's more of a pain in the ass. But saving pipe layouts and clearing the screen and stuff is stuff that is
I think like
so
order of operations, save pipe layouts like formations. Yeah. And then add the clear button, because if you add the clear button first, people are going to accidentally hit it and then not remember what the hell they just done.
Yeah. Well, there are the ones like was it the closed time gate one that you have to hold it down while the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
While the thing charges up, and then like every once in a while you get somebody who's like, "Why do you have to hold it down?" It's like because we got a lot of reports from people who didn't hold it down; they just clicked it once.
This is how we keep Sean from being inundated with support tickets.
Oh, praise Sean! He's been very busy for the last few weeks. All right, so what do we have here? Is there any updated thinking on when a third party might become available? I wouldn't anticipate that soon. We're not going to consider allowing the option for a third party until we smooth out more what is currently available.
Yeah. I keep telling people, when it works right and people, and it doesn't have all the bugs, then you'll probably get a third. Like, let's get the first one done.
Yeah. Somebody was asking if the skins of champions, if common skins of champions correspond to rare champion equipment, which is what everybody already has by default. Why not add skins to match their epic equipment?
They are.
I mean, that would be an additional 67 skins to create right now.
But isn't that what the champion skins are?
The champion skins are kind of like it's more approached. It's not quite based on the epic equipment. It's more based on what would this character look like at level 20 versus,
Gotcha.
We tend to balance characters built as if they're level 8 normally.
I think everybody had assumed it was the epic gear.
Rare and epic, yeah. Yeah, it's not specifically based on that, but it's supposed to be you're very, very far into a D&D campaign, you're fighting, deities or whatever, entire planes of existence, and that's kind of where you go. Somebody asking, can you download Idle Champions from the Nintendo Store on the Switch, or is it an actual game? Yeah, you can get it from the store. That's where you get it. There are no hard copies of it. I don't know that we plan to ever do a distribution like that, because, no. You download the game. Do we know which slot the next event champion will be in? No, we don't. Currently they're in slot 1, and I don't know that that's where they're going to be by the time they get released, because they haven't been balanced yet. So
that's just the default.
Yeah, I think at this point the next champion has been the tech has been implemented, so like they can, like, on the dev server you can buy them and put them in a formation and move them around, but like all their equipment will be like slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, like, and just like basic placeholder names, and then some of their attacks won't do damage, and their ultimate might not be implemented, etc. Because that's kind of just where they are in that part. Was Ulcoria supposed to have a champion achievement at launch? No. At least we weren't planning on it. Doesn't mean there won't ever be one, but...
Devs don't like evergreen achievements.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Traditionally.
Yeah, screw them, jerks.
Dritz has one, but,
yeah,
Pitch and Azaka and Ulcoria, no.
Yeah.
No.
Azaka's should be like 10 million attacks from her tigers. Or something. It's something insane.
No, if you really want to mess with people, it has to be something related to her actually being a DPS. Like time as a were-tiger, which is the opposite of what you do when you're trying to Azaka farm with her. And now everybody's going to hate me. But, I mean, that would be the true achievement, because everybody would get anything with the tigers just on their own. But to get the were-tiger one, that you got to work on.
That's mean. That's mean. I like it, though. Yeah. Looks like they found at least one of the hidden codes.
Oh, there you go. See, Michael said wherever guard. But see, the achievement could be wherever you go. And it's all about being the were-tiger. Like, spelled W-E-R-E instead of W-H-E-R-E.
Somebody in chat asking if it would be okay if they made a homemade mask with the C&E logo on it. Go for it, yeah. Just don't sell them. That would be a bad way to go. But you are more than welcome to make your own, yeah. Sasha's telling me that both hidden codes have been found, and code command now says them both. Cool.
I put them all into mine. Yeah. I got a bunch of epic. I got like an epic bounty and 2 epic blacksmithing, so I'm happy.
This is an interesting question. I mean, we've answered it before, but somebody asking, can we expect sync between Apple and Steam so we can check on our progress while away from PC? No, you cannot. That is unlikely to be something that ever happens. It's hard to fully explain it without getting anybody in trouble, but let's just say that it is unusual and anomalous when games are able to sync across very different platform and ecosystems like that. Like, yes, Fortnite can do it. Well, at least they could do it. Because,
yeah, maybe we not use that example at the moment.
because companies are more than happy to accommodate, taking a slice of billions of dollars of revenue.
Studios, yeah.
But it's that's an achievement that is actually really, really difficult. And so, yeah, we don't have any plans to synchronize accounts across platforms or allow platform swapping or anything like that. That actually violates agreements that we have made with platforms. So, just like it's also currently not okay for you to bypass a platform store. Like, we can't sell stuff directly to a user who uses an iOS device to play the game because the iOS device's purchases have to go through the App Store.
Which is what all the hubbub is about right now.
Which is what Epic Games and Fortnite are trying to change at the moment. We'll see. I got to say, I did not expect any of that to happen. That was a surprising day in the office when it's like, hold on, did that just happen?
Hey, if you look back, they challenged a lot of things, right? Like starting their own store because they were tired of Steam. And then, it kind of seems like par for the course. Once they hit a certain... Yeah, you kind of have to hit capacity where you can spend that kind of money. And
oh, yeah, their Fortnite dollars have allowed them to do a whole bunch of things that people didn't previously think you could do. Yeah. But I don't, clearly they were prepared for this in that, they pushed out their update and, within moments of getting taken off the store, they'd released their promotional video, their marketing campaign.
This was not
filed a lawsuit.
This was not an overnight decision. This is something they've probably been working on for a year or two.
Yeah,
with all their legal teams. So yeah.
So it's just going to sit back and watch and enjoy and take notes because this is something that people in the games industry and certainly in the marketing industry of the future will be taught about in classes because it is a marketing legal campaign. It's a trip to watch.
Yeah, and I think only time. People are obviously picking sides now, but I think it's only going to be. I don't know. There's arguments for why they're doing it that are good for people, and there's some that are bad, but we'll see how it ends up. It's a time thing.
Yeah, who knows? A lot of these companies rely on the fact that they have the money and legal power to lock somebody up in courts for years or decades. But when, how many lawyers difference is it really between a $1 trillion company and a multi-billion-dollar company?
Not as many as you think.
Yeah.
Like I said, they kind of hit capacity. They hit that threshold where they can now afford to fight this on behalf of other companies. It's not like they're just doing it for themselves, because if they set a precedent, then it goes for everyone. So, yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting to watch. Either the landscape for video game platforms and developers will change or it won't. But it's interesting to see. Certainly makes for interesting reading. And I was explaining it to somebody the other day and trying to be because I was excited to talk about it. I'm like, you'll never guess what happened at work today. I'm like, because work for us is kind of it kind of stopped because we're all the entire marketing team and our CEO, we're all just constantly talking about it and looking at it and sharing articles on different parts of it and lining it up with other stuff that we know. And I did see that. Okay, I'm not tripping out. Every once in a while, the graphic for the magic missile isn't loading and it's a bunch of bees getting fired.
Yes. People have been talking about that.
I saw it a couple times. I'm like, did I just see that, or am I just no?
There it is. There it goes again. I don't know what it is, but I love it.
Yeah, well, the bee is the graphic did not load graphic. It's the default in the game.
There you go.
If something doesn't load any graphic, it gets replaced by a bee. So for some reason, some of the fireballs aren't getting loaded and they're becoming bees.
That's great.
And I love it. I hope they don't.
We need a
fix that.
Beekeeper Ashara skin now. Get on it.
Or Beekeeper Farida. Farida's first skin could be
Yes.
a Beekeeper skin.
Yeah.
It's the B fault graphic. I appreciate
The
that,
B
Jam
fault,
Man.
yes. Yes.
Yeah. Oh man, if I had this thing set up right now, I would give that person a sub for that. That was a good Jam Man J. I'm just gonna send this to Clive because Clive does that stuff. Can you gift a sub to Jam Man J? Best pun ever.
Well, Profano, the
I will
bees
pay
are
for
a
it.
bug. It's just that the bug is that the graphics aren't loading.
Default graphic. Oh god. Yeah. It's for some reason it's not loading. Couldn't tell you why, but I love it so much. It's great. I've never seen it happen when Dadius uses his ultimate on a screen full of enemies, like launching like 50 of his magic missiles.
Yeah.
Never seen that happen. Because 50
Well,
bees
probably
would be
because
great.
nobody ever used Dadius, but yeah.
That's true. I use Cron
But he was
formations for quite a
fantastic
long
when
time.
there's he's fantastic when there's lots of things on the screen and he can clear them.
You hit
and
one
you're just
button and
like
you just clear all of it. Yeah.
and they just disappear.
Yeah.
It's
His
pretty
level
fast. It's
900
pretty
magic
fantastic.
missile.
Yes.
Yeah. Alrighty. Is there any way to see a total bonus from a Modron core? Not yet. That is
Yes.
something that is on our.
No, it's there.
Oh, it did get added. Okay, good.
Yeah. If you go in and you hover over the
Last I checked,
start
it wasn't
of the
there.
flow, so where your flow actually starts, that you have to hook your pipe. So at the top on that core, if you hover
Oh,
over
hey,
that,
it
it
is
gives
there
you
now.
data. There are some bugs with
Yeah.
that. That is where we're saying we're not sure if it's accurate or not, because originally it was adding everything together.
Yeah.
Now it does look like it's multiplying, but I have one that's like 2.413757 E plus 09%, and yeah, that's not reading right. it's not cutting off the.
Got to kill this thing before it eats Satine. Okay, there we go.
So yeah, it still has some issues, but it is now there.
Yeah, I didn't think that we had implemented that yet. I'm glad it's there. Yay.
Beacon the Bard.
Yeah. A bee familiar. You know, I mean, the graphic is already there. Any familiar is a bee if your graphics don't load fast
the
enough.
graphics don't load.
Um,
They're all bees.
Yeah. How many triangles will Idle Champions have on the PS5? Yeah, indeed. I don't know if it will come out on PS5. I suppose we could, but that would.
I mean, isn't it supposed to be backward compatible? So should
Yeah.
run
The
the
thing
game?
with Sony is that they like to make their own proprietary version of something for every system that they put out, and no two environments are alike. So, I don't know. That's a big question. I don't know. I don't know if we'll do anything with PS5. Maybe. I gotta say, thinking about a PS5, I keep forgetting that the new Xbox and PlayStation are both coming this year because the games for both of them that I am most interested in are not going to be launch titles, I don't think. So, because they shared a new Horizon Zero Dawn that is definitely not coming this year, and the new Halo has been pushed back out of this year.
That's the problem. Is usually I look at like what's coming out right away, and for the longest time it ended up not buying consoles at all because there was nothing like right on release, and if it's not on release, then I tend to forget about everything because then you get overwhelmed by all the games that come afterwards, and then I just end up not having a console.
I usually I wait for a threshold of like 3, maybe 4 games that I really want to play, and then I'll get one and I'll play them, and then often sell the console. But I don't know with PS5. We'll see. I'm very, very excited and interested in seeing that hard drive technology at work. The whole idea of coming up with an entirely new system for how a hard drive is used in order to get the most out of some new proprietary type of solid state is fascinating. Because you think about the difference that it made on your home PC or whatever device that you went from an old hard drive into a solid state drive, and like what kind of
platters over to the solid state.
And
it's a big deal.
And the multiple tiers of solid state, and then like something that manages to think of new ways to make it even faster is.
I don't think that's what spawned that. I think they just were tired of people upgrading their hard drives with stuff they bought off a shelf. But
Well,
but who knows?
But they've
if
also
you get
said,
something good out of it.
yeah, they've also said that this time there will be like a solid state type of classification that you will be able to upgrade your PS5 hard drive with something off the shelf as long as it meets whatever standard that they're doing.
All right.
So
I always knew that was the problem before, is with all the downloadable games, you ended up just not having room for anything anymore.
yeah.
Especially if you play something that's more like an MMO on a console, game over. Like, there's all your hard drive space. It's just gone.
Just showing off Calliope here, since Calliope is the one champion that
she's behind me. Me and my super tall box camera. Sorry.
Yeah.
We are showing off all my bookshelf stuff behind me. Yeah.
Yeah, switching back to champion Calliope. I mean, I can do that.
Well,
Calliope.
or you can just shrink that box, Dylan. I think I told you last. I don't know. Oh, I don't know if it works in what the program you're
No,
using.
it does.
It does. Okay. Oh, there it goes. Yeah. Now you can see.
But now I feel bad because you're like this little box.
But now I'm a widescreen image.
Yeah. Alrighty. Now people can see Calliope.
Yeah, one of these days I'll get one of those newer cameras that actually, auto removes the stuff behind you.
Oh, yeah. Or you could get a green screen or a black screen or any kind of velvet thing put up on a sign and just keyframe that out. As long as it's not flesh colored, it should be great.
But then I got to worry about what shirts I wear. I remember having someone like hop on and like they were wearing like a green shirt and you just didn't see their body and it was like, what?
Yeah.
They didn't even think about it either. They had no idea.
There was a time when we used to have guests in this studio, like beside me in a chair, which is weird. Like this is donkeys years ago. You have to, been around since the invention of the wheel.
In the before times.
Like. Yeah.
Yes, in the before times.
But we used to plan our guests for this show like far in advance. Be like, all right, this week, it's going to be so and so, or next week it's going to be, Justin. And they're like, is there anything I should wear? I'm just like, please not green. Like, just don't wear green.
Just don't wear green.
Like, really? I'm like, yeah, there's a green screen behind you. If you wear green, it's going to get real weird. Like, yeah. Yeah, it's just it's funny. Can we get an all magical effects RBs for the next Festival of Fools event? I will try. I'll try and make that happen. This is infamous to some of our players because some of our players have played Crusaders of the Lost Idols. There was an April Fool's Day where we changed all the graphics into bees, which is still my favorite thing ever. But as it turns out, it was not our players' favorite thing. And I think some of them are probably still pretty mad about it. That just seems to be how it goes.
Do we have now that we have lots of magic users, do we have like an all magic, like magic only variant once we have a magic tank where all the magical effects get turned into bees and you call the variant to be or not to be? Right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of thing that makes people laugh on our end, so that's possible. Yeah. There's more bees. I gotta say, having bees launched at me would be scarier than a magic missile, I think.
If it was a giant bee, like imagine normally the size of like, I imagine the size of a missile coming at you, and then it's just a giant bee.
Yeah, it's just murder hornets, just firing murder hornets at people. They're scary.
Believe in magic, yes.
Yeah.
Believe.
Apparently we have murder hornets here. I haven't seen any, but
the
place they were first discovered in the Pacific Northwest was on Vancouver Island, which is where Victoria is.
I'm staying inside as much as possible. I don't.
Well, that's the reality we live in now, right? Like, indoors is the only doors. Yeah. The only place. Yeah.
I was telling everybody it took me 4 months. I finally found a jar of yeast in the store so I could make homemade pizza.
Oh, nice.
So now I get to do that more often, and I'm happy. But it's like 4 months for one thing of yeast. Come on.
Well, hoarding.
Yeah.
I always find it fascinating how there's there's an event that people watch on the news, and then they go and they fill up their gas tank and they fill up all their extra gallon drums, and then they go to the grocery store and they buy 6 flats of toilet paper and some other stuff, and you're just like, granted, in the lifetime of our parents and our grandparents, assuming any of them are still around, there have been times where like there are mass gas shortages and crises around it. But like since then, countries have gotten pretty good at making sure they have enough of that stuff.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, my parents went through the gas shortages, and then my grandparents were, and great aunts and stuff, they were in the recession. So yeah, there's definitely some hoarding stuff that had been mentioned in the past, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Now it's like coming back around again.
Yeah. Well, somebody's asking me a question that they asked last time, apparently. Dylan, last time I asked, you couldn't answer the question because the show was about to end. But are there any plans to translate Idle Champions into Portuguese or any other language? Not currently. There are... I know a lot of players turn off the in-game dialogue so that they can get through things quickly. But we have like several novels worth of dialogue in the game. And so translations are actually really expensive. Because you tend to pay by the word kind of thing.
Localization is pricey.
Yeah, it's very, very pricey. So right now it's really unlikely that we would localize into any language outside of English. Some of our storefronts and some of the other things we have localized just so that the game can show up on some stores, like Steam in whatever country, it can show up in that language, that kind of thing. But we're also like, this game is in English, like period, is a part of that. No plans for a major localization and updating all the dialogue, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's hard enough when it's just a text-based stuff, but then when you have text and voiceovers...
Yeah, we don't have voiceover.
I know. You're lucky in that regard.
Like, I was thinking the other day about Baldur's Gate 3 being in development, because they announced their early access date being end of September, and like this is what players can expect in terms of how much gameplay and stuff. And then they kind of dropped comparisons to their previous titles. Like, this is how many lines of dialogue are in Divinity Original Sin 1. This is how many lines of dialogue are in 2. This is how many are in Baldur's Gate 3. And like Baldur's Gate 3 is like exponentially larger. But like, I mean,
I just played through Divinity Original Sin, the first one, on my stream, and there was a lot of voiceover, like so much voiceover.
Yep.
And then I'm doing 2 right now, and it's even more. And it's just like, localization, I can't even imagine for a game like that. It just has to go on forever and ever and ever. Like, there's just so much that has to be done, like concurrently with all of the development. Like, that is a huge portion of their budget if they're localizing.
Yeah, well, I mean, they have entire teams of people who their only job is to work with the voice actors to read the scripts and get the performances out of them and all that stuff. And some companies do that exceptionally well. Some companies don't put as much into it. I know that whenever you play like a Naughty Dog game, or like, you can expect an extraordinarily high level of performance out of the actors as the characters. And some games don't. And everybody tries out their own thing. They how they base their resources and stuff is totally on them. But like, from what I've seen of Baldur's Gate 3, it looks fantastic. I don't know that I'm going to play the early access thing. I think I might just wait until it's out and just play it.
I think I'm probably waiting just because I want to be able to play through it on stream and not like play part of it and then come back and then do it again when it comes out fully. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I mean, it's been decades since there was a Baldur's Gate game, so and I don't know which characters from previous Baldur's Gate game may or may not make an appearance. Like, it's still going to be a surprise to me. So
Was 2 Shadows of Amn, AMN, was that Baldur's Gate 2? Am I remembering that right? I feel like I remember playing that.
I have to look up the names because we're talking about games I played in high school. So.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for making me feel old, Dylan. No, I was.
What?
Yeah, I was out of college.
It was over 20 years ago.
Yeah, I was out of college. This was had to have been like late 90s, right? Early 2000s. I remember buying it, and then I had a split shift at my work where I'd work at one morning program at a school, and then I work at an afternoon program at another school. So I would go to do the morning program, I'd come home, and I'd sit down and I'd play Baldur's Gate until I had to go to the work at the after school.
So the base Baldur's Gate 2 was Shadows of Amn, and then the expansion was Throne of Baal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Came out June 22nd, 2001.
I still had that box with the game and everything, at least up until a couple of years ago. It may still be in my garage.
Yeah. I loved the art on those old boxes and like the huge manuals they had, and like the whole packaging of a game from in that style is kind of a lost art form at this point, since it's just a DVD case with a disc in it these days.
Yeah. That's kind of when I stopped. I used to have like a small bookshelf that was just all of my games.
Yep.
Like all my computer games. And then they went to all the tiny little DVD boxes or CD boxes originally, and then DVD boxes. And I'm just like, I don't care about keeping these anymore.
Yeah, my bookshelf around my computer used to be that. I had all the Command & Conquer games, all the Red Alert games, all StarCraft and expansions, and just like WoW and a whole bunch of WoW expansions. And back when you didn't
see,
just
mine was
the game.
Star Wars and all the Star Wars expansions, Star Wars Galaxies.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
And all their expansions. Yeah.
I couldn't get into that one. I tried to play that game, and I'm like, you mean I can't be a Jedi? When Galaxies first came out, it wasn't.
And see, now I'm like the current version of the Star Wars game. I'm like, I couldn't get into it because I'm like, what do you mean I can't be a Wookiee? I don't understand.
Oh no!
Because they voice everything. Everything's fully voiced, and they figure nobody wants to play a fully voiced Wookiee because all you're hearing is.
I know, but that's so great.
But I would want that.
Yeah,
I want that.
Yeah.
Why can't you give me that with subtitles? Come on.
Yeah. Well, this is a good question for you instead of me. As a new player, what should my first goal to work towards be, aside from the obvious doing quests?
I think the general rule that most people say is you try to get those first tier 1 blessings, right? But for each of the campaigns, like for each of the first 3 campaigns, so Sword Coast, Tomb of Annihilation, and Waterdeep, you want to grab the tier 1s and up through like all the basic tier 1s, and they're global, because then it's especially that global that's going to help you basically do everything, because all 3 of those have a double damage global, and they're going to let you do time gates quicker, they're going to let you do events faster, they're going to let you push through the campaigns faster. So just dipping your toe in each of those campaigns is kind of like the first big, I kind of think, progression goal, because those are big bumps.
Yeah. And also on that note, what milestones at this point would you use to differentiate the difference between early game, mid game, and end game for somebody who plays Idle Champions?
I think the last time we tried to figure this out was like your early game up until, I think you're probably ending early game and transitioning into the mid game once you have those double damage blessings. It's pretty quick, because early game is just kind of getting an understanding of how a campaign works and how to reset and how to do all, like early game feels like it's a very short thing. Mid game is big. That's the big wide thing. And I think before that was like, well, you kind of start the mid game at that point and picking up your first evergreen in Dritz. Well, not counting Hitch, right?
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, once you've got Dragon Bait, you're now into the end game. But now it's probably once you've got Dragon Bait and Ulcoria, you're now full end game. And then after that, it's like, okay, after that point, you should be doing, you're probably focusing most of your time on patrons in the end game, whereas you were just kind of dabbling in it in the mid game because you were still trying to finish all the content in the different campaigns. So you're doing that and maxing out your Modron stuff, and yeah, it's layered.
Yeah. I think kind of like it's easy to say that you're transitioning from early to mid game when you unlocked a sizable number of blessings.
Yeah.
Because at that point, that also means that you're able to progress quite deep into the first 3 campaigns. And then like mid-late game would be you've got all the evergreen unlocks, or many of the evergreen unlocks, because that used to be the end game, was like, can you get a Zaka?
Yeah.
But now
I
it's
think
more
that's
like, now it seems like to be like the mid-game milestone is that you've got a Zaka, because she's going to allow you to get those higher favor levels that really allow you to make progress into a much more difficult stuff.
I still think for me, probably the marker of, are you a mid-game or not even kind of, are you kind of early, mid game, and then kind of veteran? Like at the point where you talk about being a veteran, like you is kind of a knowledge thing. So end game to me is equated with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at that point it is still probably Dragon Bait. Can you unlock Dragon Bait without somebody just feeding you a formation? Like, can you get in, figure out how to build the right formation, figure out, do I have enough health? Do I have enough damage? How do I balance those and beat her? Even still right now, it's easier to do it now than before, but even still right now, it can be challenging. So I think it's kind of that, like, can you show that mastery of building formations and optimizing them on your own without just having somebody else show them to you? And that to me is like that transition from mid game to end game. So
just realized something. I'm gonna use some potions of speed.
Yeah.
And maybe actually finish this before the
I
end
can't
of the
read
show.
it. Does it say 3? Oh, 273. Okay, there we go. Yeah?
Because I'm like,
I
probably should have done this a while ago, actually.
You got 20 minutes, maybe.
It's
you
going
might
a lot faster now.
You might want to max that at 10. So drop some 15 minutes too. Drop like 15 minutes in that.
Well, I don't want to. It gets so distracting for people that it's there. But yeah, I can do that.
I had started Veteran Brigade at the end of the stream yesterday, and just for people who are watching yesterday, I made it to 470 and then died. I couldn't take a single piece of armor off the boss at 470, but that means I'm 5 away. You got to get to 475 for Strahd's Veteran Brigade. So I think my next core upgrade will give it to me because there's a damage bonus there. So
yeah, God, I was not anticipating when we were originally talking about Modron automation and all that stuff, and like it was pitched to us like what the idea behind it was. The pipe game and the nodes that increased power was not part of it. And so when it came out and it was like
that was a
pipes,
shock.
I'm like, holy crap, those are some big increases. Like, people are asking us immediately, like right after the feature come out, it's like, so when's the next soft cap increase? I'm like, do you realize how much power you just got?
You just got it. But yeah, I mean, I think I was level 5 and I was getting, just from those, I was getting like 25 extra levels at level 5. And there's still, so much more power to be gained. And I wasn't even necessarily, I think I was full epic, but there's a lot more power later in the core.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, somebody's saying, how difficult is Ulcoria to unlock? I mean, we talked about this a bit at the beginning, but it's it's a good idea to refresh.
It's challenging, but it's not horrible.
Yeah, I mean, Gaarawarr used Delena DPS formation to do it, which is to say, Delena is amazing.
Stop saying that.
It's
I can do it with Delena. You can do it with anyone. Wait,
no, but I think any time when you're able to complete like a milestone piece of content using many or more than half of your formation as core champions is a good thing. Because what I don't like is when it's like, you need 9 event champions and Archon in order to make this work. It's like, that's,
You do need a decent bench just to have some options, because there aren't magic options in every slot.
Yep.
But you don't need all of them to be event champions.
Yeah.
So like Dylan's running Averin and Farida and Dinar and Satine. Oh wait, Vlanya.
Yeah, I'm half and half. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10 ain't bad.
Yeah, well, Farida, Dinar, Volanya, Cathris, and Averin.
Oh, Cathris, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so half and half. So that's not horrible.
Yeah.
It's just that people aren't used to running a lot of people aren't used to running full magic formations. So.
And this one was purely for the magic missiles that are also bees. Although I didn't know they were bees at the time.
Gotta believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the players in chat is asking you what your core multiplier is at now.
Oh, well, the problem with that is the readout is a little bugged. So I am level 8. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 active endpoints that aren't necessarily labeled super clearly. Mm-hmm. The con is nothing. Global 1 is what they call it. So I'm assuming that's all champs damage. 2.4 EO9, I think is what it says, which is a solid buff. I mean, that's an EO9 buff is like a champion, having another champion in your formation.
Yeah.
Gold gain is like 3,000%. I have the monster HP minus 94%. Got some health. I got another 36,000% global too. And then dexterity and strength both at 2,400. So there's lots of different layered things, and they all, multiply against each other. So it's hard to say what the total is.
Yeah.
Because it all depends on what your DPS champion qualifies for.
So close to getting eaten. Oh, man. Valentine's character, didn't know that. Yeah. Valania Umvarar. I can't quite say it right.
Umvarar.
Yes. But yeah, that's Satine Phoenix.
You got to get into that Satine voice space. Valania Umvarar.
Yeah. No,
all silky and smooth.
That's definitely not me.
Yeah. It's not necessarily me either.
Yeah. No. Oh man. So let me think a bit about what's coming up. I mean, I don't get to do as many spoilers now because I give a lot of the spoilers to Girdle Champions to make pancakes out of. And so there'll be pancakes. Half of the art tomorrow is of things that haven't come to the game yet.
Nice. There were lots of new monsters last week.
Yep, but that are now in the game. And then there are some monsters. There's one of them is a classic one that we have already used as a monster in the game. But when I was going through the files, I'm like, this one looks great and will probably make a really beautiful pancake. And so I just put it in there, even though it's not recent. And then another one is recent and we just didn't do, but it looks cool. And then the other 3 are all coming to the game next week as part of the next update. So I'm excited for that. And what do you know what you're planning to do on stream tomorrow?
I had thought about doing Strahd's Veteran Brigade, but obviously I can't finish that. Just having it on in the background to let people see like how crazy some of these high-end patron things are. I may throw something like that in the background. I mean, we already did all the Ulcoria stuff, so I could do Ulcoria, but patron style.
Patron versions of the adventure, yeah.
Yeah. So that might be the throwdown, just so people can see it again, even though we did it yesterday. Not everybody was in that stream, so although we had like over 100 people hanging out, so it was pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah.
Good time.
What's
so yeah, probably just Ulcoria again, and because people are going to want to talk about Ulcoria and ask questions about Ulcoria, and which means I need to learn about Ulcoria.
Yeah, I'm excited to finally unlock her because I'm just curious.
She's pretty neat. I did try to gear her up, and unfortunately, I ended up with holes in my collection, which, as everybody who knows my stream knows, it's the bane of my existence.
Oh, did you not open Silver Chest first?
I did.
Oh,
I did.
And
I got jacked. I opened over 100 silver chests, and I'm missing a white and a green. And I'm just so upset.
That's what I'm
because
afraid
I got
of.
Lots of
because that's what I'm doing after this.
I got lots of greens and blues first, which most people would be like, "Yay!" and I'm like, "Oh."
Yeah. Gaps in the collection.
It's gonna fill in though. She's an evergreen, so when I hit the next, when we hit the next event, and I open, 1,000 silver chests for that event, then it will fill in.
At some point, you'll get it. Yeah. Or not.
But she's full epic. She's just only item level like 21. So.
Yeah. Huh. I'm curious. Yeah, I'm very excited to see how she fits in, how useful she is, given that she shares the Tyrrell slot.
I think it's going to help when you have a magic tank, right? If this upcoming Goblin Artificer does stay as a magic-based tank.
Yeah, hopefully we don't move to slot 10 just before release.
Yes, and doesn't end up in slot 10. Yeah, I mean, we know there's at least. Come on, Dylan. We know there's at least 4 slots that don't have a magic users in them.
Yeah. I'm curious, actually. Now I'm going to look up and see.
So, yeah. Well, I mean, we know because we just did Ulcoria's variant, and there's 4 gimmies that you had to give, right? So, yeah, I think if that happens, we'll see it, because the true power that looks like Ulcoria brings is with how many magic-based people are in the formation, because she gets those bonuses based off the number of them that are there. Let me pull it up real quick because it's super crazy. So if there's 3+ what she says stacks, which is her spellcaster school, which is based off people who actually are spellcasters. If you have 3 or more, attack speeds of champions that are count towards that are reduced by a half a second base, I think. And then 5 or more for positional formation ability effects are buffed by 25% for each stack. And then, which is kind of like a mini Githzerai Focus, right? Because that's what Githzerai Focus does, is buff positional formation abilities. But hers isn't based off wisdom. It's just, are they magic, right? And then 7 of them is, there's a 50%, 7 or more, there's a 50% chance that the base attack cooldown immediately resets, which means you're just attacking faster. And that every time they attack, which means that could actually trigger itself. And you could just keep attacking, which was the old Binwin thing, right? Except now it's for magic users.
Well, one thing I can say
9 or more, it's a big buff.
The upcoming Artificer does not share a slot with Ulcoria.
Oh, okay, good. So not slot 10. Well, I mean, we would expect that, right? Hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have 9 or more magic-based champions, then it's increases the buff of that spellcaster thing by 200%. So she just gets crazier and crazier the more magic people are with her. And I think the more that we have that, the wilder we'll see people do with her.
Yeah.
Kind of like Farida. Like, we're still waiting on more tieflings for Farida to just go off.
Yeah. I'm not
melt
gonna lie.
everything.
We have deliberately not, we've done fewer tieflings. Been like, this could be problematic if we release too many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good question. How is attacking immediately right after you attacked before going to affect Bud? Wouldn't it just be based off the base attack cooldown and not the new one? Like, wouldn't Bud just get calculated by the normal, whatever her normal base attack is, and not for whoever's setting your Bud? That's it. Yeah, that's rough. We'll see. That was kind of part of the issue that we got in with Cathris and Avon, right? Is that Bud manipulation through abilities. So who knows? Someone go find out.
better questions for Justin.
Yeah, maybe that's the Ulcoria will be the new 1,000 breaker.
So what you're saying is a lot of people are going to get auto banned.
Yeah, potentially, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but just imagine throw Delina in with Ulcoria as Delina is your DPS. Again, here we go talking about Delina DPS, but when you pop her ult, it makes her attack faster and do more damage. And then you could potentially be triggering that immediate insta attack again with Ulcoria repeatedly, and then who knows what happens.
There it is.
It melts.
Congratulations, Jam Man Jay. That was a good pun.
The B fault, yes.
I mean, it was dumb, but I really liked it. So.
That's the best puns are.
Yeah. I was watching a comedy with my wife the other day, and they said something, and I'm like, we need to turn this off. She's like, why? I'm like, it's not lowbrow enough. Like, I'm not in the mood for cerebral humor where I don't want to think about way think about it. I want dumb jokes right now.
That's I've been watching a lot of Holy Moly 2, the sequel, and Cannonball, which are these summertime competition shows. And Holy Moly is miniature golf, but extreme miniature golf, where they're getting knocked into water and throwing themselves over things. And then Cannonball is doing crazy stuff in pools. And it's just it's so lowbrow. It's just, you're just laughing at other human beings just getting just destroyed. And yeah. And then Holy Moly 2, sometimes the announcers get themselves so hard they break down laughing, like, because they're trying to do these pun commentaries, and one of the holes is named after a certain celestial body that makes everybody laugh when it is named. So of course there's just all kinds of jokes about that, and yeah, it's just good, hilarious lowbrow humor, and you don't have to think about any of it. Yeah. And that's good sometimes.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like when you think about just equating it to eating. You don't want to eat fine dining all the time. Sometimes you want a hot dog.
Yeah, you won't appreciate it if you have it all the time.
Yeah, just like with humor, I like clever, witty, or extremely cerebral humor sometimes. But sometimes I'm gonna watch the Orville because it's dumb Star Trek.
Yeah. But it's dumb and smart Star Trek at the same time. That's what gets me.
Yeah, the
like,
first
they
season
do
was
it in a
kinda
very
weak, but
smart
the second
way.
season's better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you kind of needed that, especially since McFarlane actually was on a Star Trek episode.
Oh yeah.
As a low level person. Yeah.
Picard taps him on the shoulder, and he turns around and says something, and then turns back to his console.
Yeah. So I imagine it's the same universe, just competing space forces.
That would be funny.
Because why not? Why can't there be another one?
One of my coworkers described it as the Star Trek show that Seth MacFarlane wanted. Like, he wanted to. It starts off really lowbrow, but then it turns into the Star Trek show that he always wanted, where he gets to be the captain. Which it kind of
it just makes sense that there's got to be a ship out there that's just full of like the bottom tier of the people that could qualify for Starfleet Academy, and that's the one that's just the funny, hilarious one where people are doing stupid things, but they're just good enough to make it work.
Yeah, I see people talking about how it's the only Star Trek show right now. I think Star Trek shows have always been very, very reminiscent of whatever era they come out in. So the modern ones are very much like more modern sci-fi.
I think there's now an animated one called Below Decks. Something.
Yeah. The third episode of that came out today. I haven't watched it yet. And I watched the first episode, and I enjoyed watching it. I thought it was funny, but I'm like, I was not anticipating a Star Trek show that felt like watching Rick and Morty, kind of.
Yeah.
That's not a complaint. It's just like, that's different.
I mean, I watched. There was a Star Trek TTRPG. Like, they take the Star Trek and then they did TTRPG basically and did a stream.
Yep.
And it was really good. And I can't remember. And it's been a few years back. It was Geek and Sundry, yeah. And now I can't remember what it was called, but it was fantastic. If you go back and watch all of those old episodes, and they're trying to do a newer version, but I didn't get into that one as much. But it was pretty neat. You can do a lot with that.
Yeah. Somebody's asking, don't we have a magic tank in Nova? Yeah, but Nova attacks people with her sword.
Yeah. She's not a magic user, but she has magic stuff.
Hexblade Warlocks are gishes. They bonk things. And so somebody was also asking about Kron. Like, so an Eldritch Knight, what they get as you level up as an Eldritch Knight, a fighter, is you get to add cantrips to your melee. Like, you cantrip as a bonus attack. And so it's still a normal, regular melee attack. But then you also get a cantrip at the end. So
Lauren coming in clutch as always. Shield of Tomorrow, folks.
Shield of Tomorrow. There we go.
Please go back. It was so good. It was so good. Yeah.
More like Star Trek, lower expectations. I don't know. I mean, I don't think all shows need to be for all people. I'm not even remotely surprised that as Star Trek shows come out, they are for different audiences. And that being said, I have high expectations for the one with Anson Mount and Rebecca Romaine and Ethan Peck, where they're what do they call it? Star Trek something. It's coming next year, but they're doing Pike's journey before Kirk took over the Enterprise, and they're doing it in a old original Star Trek series style with episodic storytelling. And I'm very excited
jumping back. They jump around with whatever new Star Trek they're doing. They're like, we're going to move forward. Nobody likes that. Okay, back to something that they're more familiar with.
Brave New Worlds? Is that what it's called? Brave New Worlds? Something like that. Whatever. Anson Mount, like, regardless of how somebody might feel about Star Trek Discovery, because certainly that show runs the spectrum of quality over the 2 seasons.
Strange New Worlds is what Lord Titus says.
Yeah, but Anson Mount played Christopher Pike brilliantly, absolutely brilliantly, like you would hope any captain on any Star Trek show would be like. Like, he was absolutely awesome, and the guy who played Spock was surprisingly good. Yeah, so I'm excited for that show. I'm more so than a second season of Picard or a third season of Discovery. But I will watch all of it because I'm a sci-fi nerd and I watch all sci-fi. So
I don't judge it too much. I tend to just watch it and enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah.
And like, I went back a couple years ago and did a full rewatch of all the Star Wars stuff out to date in chronological order.
Oh yeah,
and it was entertaining.
Did you watch the holiday special about
all
Life Day?
All of it.
Yeah, you watched that?
Oh no, that's Star Wars. You're talking Star
sorry,
Wars.
I thought you said Star Wars. I was like, oh
no,
god.
Star Trek. No,
Oh,
Star
yeah.
Trek. I went through and watched all the seasons and the movies and stuff, and yeah. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with the Wookiee Life Day. Come on, that's my people.
Yes, there is. Lumpy, come on.
It was a different time, man. It was a different time. That's back when the extended universe books had Luke and Leia making out. So
yeah. Oh man. Somebody's saying they just started watching Battlestar Galactica. Is that the one from the 70s or the one from the early aughts that Ronald D. Moore started?
God, that one was so good.
It was fantastic, wasn't it?
Did I say Star Wars? I meant Star Trek, folks.
I could have sworn I said Star Wars, which is why I was like...
It's all about Star Wars, guys. It's all about Star... Oh.
I like sci-fi. I think it's all great.
Yeah.
And you appreciate the good stuff more when you've watched all of it because you've seen all the bad stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like how many Stargate shows did there end up being? Like 3 or 4?
I loved Stargate.
Yeah. Did you watch Stargate Universe?
I did not watch them all, no. Not all the recent stuff I did not see, but the original, like the movie in theaters on an enormous 75-foot screen.
Oh, with Kurt Russell and James Spader, yeah.
Yes, and then the series that came right after that was one of my favorites.
Yeah, it was great.
I loved that.
Well, they did a
but
few
after that, I
spin-offs.
did not have time to watch all the spin-off stuff.
I don't recommend the spin-offs, although Jason Momoa is in one of them. But I do recommend they did a spin-off for 2 years called Stargate Universe that I highly recommend.
Okay.
In that it's really good sci-fi.
I'll look that one up.
Wasn't expecting it to be good sci-fi. It's really good. It ends prematurely in a somewhat upsetting way, but
hey, you got her. You got her, Dylan.
I know,
you AFK'd right through.
I know, and that's funny because it's 2:54, which means I need to end the show.
I know. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. So yeah, this has been our show today for Thursday, August 20th. I was reading the wrong page.
Wow.
Sorry, my daughter woke me up like 6 times last night. August 20th, 2020. Thank you guys for joining us and for participating and for being fans of video games and Idle Champions, Dungeons and Dragons, all that stuff. You guys are awesome. This show exists because of lots of awesome people, including our co-producer moderator Sasha, as well as our executive producer Erica, our partners at D&D, Greg, Bart, Pelham, Allison, Shawling, and Brandy. Awesome people in the community, like my guest here, Gaarawarr.
And that guy over there. He does it
Lauren,
too.
Lauren, Obo Crazy in chat, and a whole bunch of people that I see nearly every single week. Thank you guys for coming back. Really appreciate it. Happy to have you here. So yeah, have a great week, a great weekend. Enjoy unlocking Ulcoria and diving into what her kit ends up being like, because I'm going to be doing that right after this. But yeah, take care, everybody, and yeah, we'll see you tomorrow for Griddle Champions. Have a good weekend.